See ya.
The camera's arrived. Amazing.
Good.
Not supposed to be coming till tomorrow.
Good chat.
Good chat. Are we right? Yeah. Right.
Well, I'm running down the road. Do you know what I'm doing? Trying to loosen my load.
Good plan.
There's such a fine sight to see. It's me and you sat in the studio shooting an episode of Is It? Now. New year, Sean.
New year, Dan.
I'm so excited. I've got so much to, look forward to and plan for this year.
Good.
How about you?
Yeah. Looking forward to this year. Got big plans.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can barely contain my complete indifference.
It's not like you, Dan. What are you indifferent about this time?
Well, just, you sort of get to the end of one year and you think, God, that was rubbish. Can't wait to start the next one. And then, start with a really positive outlook and then think, no, actually, this is rubbish as well. Do you know what I mean? You're an optimist, aren't you?
No, see, I get accused of being an optimist a fair bit.
Yeah, it's because you... Okay.
I think I'm a realist. I don't get particularly excited about things, but I don't get particularly pissed off about them either. I'm just kind of hang around in the middle and think, is what it is. I'm all right with that.
Do you realise how much that annoys everybody else?
I don't care.
Pardon?
I don't care how other people feel about how I feel about the world.
You don't care about how... It's just annoying. Why can't you be either, happy or annoyed about stuff?
I mean, I'm generally happier than not, but...
Yeah. Yeah. No, like I say, really excited. Welcome to 2025. Really looking forward to,
Hey, look. It's a new year, new beginning, all of that stuff. It's supposed to be enthusiastic a little bit, just for a few weeks. Try and get the enthusiasm
That's
going.
Not in the middle. That's an optimist.
Yeah, for the next couple of weeks, and then I go back to the realism. The realism of life.
Great. Good stuff. Well, I tell you what, having seen your computer screen... Pardon me.
Oh, that one. I'm like, what have I left on that I shouldn't have done? What have you seen?
Why? What?
Nothing. It was there when I bought it.
Having seen your laptop screen, which is on your lap, I ask with some form of
trepidation,
anxiety. Disappointment, anxiety.
All of those things.
Yeah.
All of those things you don't like.
Yeah, what are we looking at this week, Sean?
Well, Dan, this was another one from the comments. Someone pointed out that we never got round to reviewing Plugin Alliance's Tomo Lisa EQ. And they're right, we didn't.
I mean, I've looked at your computer screen before.
Yes.
And there's more knobs than usual. And I'm talking to the man that's completed Grindr.
Whoa! It was Tinder I completed. Well, there. Dear, oh dear.
Why don't you start with the knobs on the left?
Okay.
And then we'll go to the knobs on the right.
This is not skiing. Anyway.
What are you saying about people that ski?
Nothing. Let's have a look at this EQ.
Okay.
So, yeah, bit daunting to look at this one. Totally understand where you're coming from on that one. However, it's because left and right are shown one above the other. You could equally just look at just one of those. Unless you're going to be using it left and right separately. I don't know anyone that does that. It does work in mid-side, so it could be mid, top, side, bottom. That makes more sense. Have you got side, bottom?
I don't know about bottoms. I don't use Grindr.
Ah, there you go.
I believe there's a top and a bottom.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Dan.
No, well, there's nothing wrong with it.
No.
But, I just understand that it's...
Crack on, Dan, with your new beginning. That's fine. Anyway, let's start on the left. You got your input right there. Right below it, you've got your low cut. We then have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bands. They're not all the same. So the bands in the middle, the low, low mid, and high, they're all the same. The low boost and high boost are slightly different. as the name implies, they only boost. There's no cut available there. You have your gain at the top, you have your frequency selector underneath that, and then you have your threshold underneath that, because each of these bands have a dynamic aspect. So your threshold is there. You have an on button for the EQ there, an on button for the dynamic section there. And you then have a tack and release on a control on a knob, but you don't have separate control. So like the first setting there says FF, so that's fast attack, fast release. Then you have SF, slow attack, fast release, and so on. If it says M, that means, you know, fast attack, medium release. So you do have control, but it's slightly different to how you're used to seeing it. The ratio button, you still have a ratio when it's not plugged in. It's just you push that in for a higher ratio, basically. So what you do is you EQ the signal how you like it, then you dial up the threshold until it is compressing a little bit, and then you go back and nudge it how you want it to sound, get your bottom end sounding right. You can do the same at the top end. It's only a boost, so that's like sweetening the top and the bottom. You've then got 4 bands straight across the mids. Really, really useful. So these can be cut or boost, and you've got the same gain, frequency and threshold control. You've also got in the middle here, you've got a control which sets whether it is compressing or expanding. Obviously the upwards one is expanding. You've got a width control for that, and again you've got the attack and release, you've got the ratio button and everything else. So you can basically cut or boost any of those 4 bands, and you can add either compression or upwards compression, like expansion, to them, which gives you incredible control over a master. You have a few other things. There's boost cut buttons, so rather than boost one way, cut the other, it just goes one way and you choose whether it's boosting or cutting, quite like that. You have these slope in buttons, which you can see there and there. That turns the filters from 2nd to 3rd order, and you have resonance as well. What else do we have? Down the bottom, we have the Brainworx section with the TMT, the mono maker, you've got your stereo width, your headroom, and you've got a drive control as well. And basically, how I found this work best, and you know, it did blow my mind a bit. If you put this on a master and you just do the final little tweaks, just listen through to your track and solo each band, and maybe just tweak a bit, get it sounding just that tiny percentage little bit better each band, then listen to the whole thing. If you then bypass it, you're getting like a 5% nudge in how good it sounds. It's really quite magic. And if you want to hear what you're doing, what it is that's done that, there is a dry mute button. If you click that, it turns off the dry signal. You only hear what you've added or taken away, including all the dynamics. So it's pretty impressive. All the circuits run in parallel. It's opto compression, so very good in a mastering situation. I was mightily impressed. What do you want to know?
Nothing really.
I fulfilled your every desire.
Less than you've already told me.
If you could just rewind half an hour, I'd be happy. Just take back everything you've said, and that'll be perfect.
I would like to know is obviously it is from
Brainworx Plugin Alliance.
Yep. 14 days demo.
Yes.
How much does it cost, Sean?
It's $399.
Fucking bargain.
See, I know you're lying. 14 days, like you say, $399, or in the sale right now, $29.99.
We just, let's be honest, we had one of our little mishaps, didn't we?
The card ran out on the camera, so we're doing this for the second time, which is really quite disturbing. Yeah, because we don't rehearse, we don't practice, but when you do something for the second time, you find yourself repeating yourself.
Especially when it's such a fucking dull plug-in. But we were talking about the price disparity of 400. Is it 400 quid?
Yeah, $399 to $29.99. It's insane, yeah.
You know, so what's the plug-in actually worth, do you think, Sean?
If I had to put a price on it that it was actually worth 100 quid, I guess would be fair.
Would you buy it for 100 quid? Would you spend 100 quid on that?
That's interesting. I might be tempted, having used it. I do think it's really, really good. I'm way more tempted at $29.99, obviously.
What? So, we've been reviewing these new plugins that are dynamic equalizers.
Yep.
With all of these different EQ shapes that of which we can only think of 4.
Yes.
Multiple nodes, graphic interface. What makes this better than those?
That's a very, very good question. So, exactly, not better. There is no reason to think you couldn't...
No, don't change the question.
No, I'm going to answer it. You can do everything this does with Pro Q4.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. 100%. And more. In fact, that might be the way to skin this cat, is to buy that and build a preset that looks like this. You could do this in tone boosters, in their EQ. You could do this. The thing is, this is set up a certain way to do this job, and I really like what it does.
I think you're perhaps of a generation where plugins kind of look like this.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm drifting away from them a bit. I was using EQs that looked like hardware in mastering most of the time.
You never liked visual representations of stuff.
I'm drifting a little bit more towards, not all the time, but the tone booster stuff has kind of changed my mind a little bit, just because I love the way it sounds.
You sort of realise that maybe designers, whether it's the GUI, designers or the where people come up with it conceptually, are aiming these plugins at a certain type of engineer.
Yes.
Because the things like those Pro Qs, they look a certain way, don't they?
Yeah, it's got to be said, I was using the SPL PQ on my masters for a few months until I started to feel a bit daft using a plugin that basically looked exactly like a piece of hardware and wasn't very intuitive from looking at it, what you were doing and how you were getting the results you were getting. And I suddenly realised I can do this.
I wouldn't go near something like this.
No, I know it's not your bag. But I remember when me and you first met and we first worked together, we were using Yamaha digital consoles most of the time. And we did that drum show where they'd given you an analog console. You really weren't happy. I think I had your O2R or something. I was using it. And
O2R, cutting edge of technology.
It was then. But you asked me a question about the analog console.
Yeah.
And the way you phrased it was, you said, on the O2R, this would be on the whatever page. I'd never met an engineer before that point who had learnt purely on digital and was referencing digital backwards to analog.
Yeah.
It was always the other way.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating. But that makes sense as why this isn't your cup of tea.
It was a curious, and weirdly, that's interesting that you bring that up. Weirdly now, I prefer working in the analog way. I mean, I don't like this plugin, but as you know, I worked as a monitor engineer for years.
Yeah.
And working on an analog, we toured for years as a front of house monitor engineers. And walking in, sound check, I could 3 songs.
Yeah.
A few, whatever it was, 6 pairs of wedges.
Yeah, you had like Soundcraft 500 series.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, bang, 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 bang. Lars Ulrich, Metallica black kick drum. Yeah. Dial it in. You could pretty much have the band ready to go before they walked on stage.
Yeah, I got to admit that changed for me, going from analog using a Midas front of house console for years, suddenly going to digital. There was that thing of, I know I can get an analog console to where it needs to be in 1 or 2 songs, even if the band come on when it's set flat. If I recall the band mix on the digital console, I'm 100% confident either it will come back and everything will be perfect, or it won't, and I won't hear anything.
Well, I can remember a particular gig. We were actually working with different bands at the time, and you did exactly that, but the output routing was different.
Drums,
on your different on your preset, to what the output physical routing was on the output of the console. So the band came on, and there was no drum output.
No, someone routed the group I was using for drums to somewhere else. Yeah, it was being used for some satellite speakers somewhere or something. So I had no drums. I'm like,
somebody's in the backstage bar listening to a drum.
just drums on a major festival. There's like 20,000, 30,000 people there. Yeah. No drums for... I mean, it wasn't long. As soon as I sussed it, we found it. But long enough. Long enough to scare the life out of you. Especially when it's a drum intro. Anyway, you live and learn.
You do. But it's interesting, isn't it? You look at a plugin like this and you think, you've got access to all of this digital
Yeah.
information and visual information, and yet people still make plugins that look like
They do.
analog.
Yes.
Hey ho, so
The Plugin Alliance, Tomo, or Brainworx, Tomo Lisa EQ.
is it shit, Sean?
I really love it. I really love it. If it's $29.99,
That's annoying.
I know, but $29.99
It's not $29.99. It's $299.99.
Never buy it unless it's $29.99, and then get it because you'd be mad not to. If you're doing any kind of mastering, this is one of those little boxes that can nudge it into the next stratosphere. I like it.
Okay, well, if you agree with Sean, please like the video.
If you agree with Dan, don't. Maybe subscribe to the channel, become a channel member. We also have an Instagram, which is Studio Life 101.
There's a Patreon, and there is a list of links to Dr. Vincent's most fantabulous courses, which are really worth going and having a look at. They're all video based. For the mixing course, you get your files to download. They're really, really cool courses, so go and have a look at those.
Cheers. There's also our plugin top 5, and there's links to all of those down there. Anyway, we will see you all soon. Adios.
Sayonara, suckers.